Hi all, welcome to my channel, welcome to my world. This is the world of Wayne. Today I'm going to be doing the next 4 stages, which is 55 to 58 of the Hachette Partworks release, a Build the B.III Lancaster bomber. Now, you know what, I may as well just put these on now, because today is going to be one of these days. We're going to be finishing the engine, we're going to be starting the next undercarriage. Now, if you remember how big the engine is, and let me just show you on this camera, that's pretty much what we're working on. And you'll be pleased to know, look, I've still got these 2 plastic things here in place. The goal is to see if I can get through building this engine with them still intact. I don't know if that's going to work. We'll have to see that for ourselves. Now, I don't think this is still available. I have put a link in my video description, and there's also a QR code on the screen. You can start halfway through the build, so if you can get hold of some of the older issues, then your quid's in there, you'll be able to do this. But other than that, you'll have to build it through me. But this is going to be a struggle. I am going to show you some techniques today to make sure that your engine will spin with the motor when I'm putting this together, because I am going to do things slightly different to the instructions, but I hope it will help later on. Anyway, without further ado, let's get cracking. So here is stage 55, and as you can see, we've got parts for the engine here. And to be honest with you, if anyone's having problems with the engine spinning once it's all together, it's actually this stage which I think is causing most of the problems, and it's all to do with these 4 things here. So when we get down to this stage here, we put this on, this goes onto here and it gets screwed in, but you need to make sure that that's very loose on there, because what I'm tending to find that this bearing is warping just slightly, and it's giving enough friction for this shaft not to turn. If this is off, you can actually change that later on, and it's going to mean that your engine will be able to turn. Both of the engines that I've done in the past had issues with that, and that was the fix for it. So we are going to be putting this in. I'm not gluing this into place. I'm just going to put it in with a screw, as you can see there. And then at the end, that's how that's looking. There's the rest of the magazine. Okay. So here we go. This is stage 55. Not many parts, but the parts we have got, as you can see, are tiny. And the first thing to do is on this metal rod here, we've got a long end indented and a short end indented. It's the short end I want, and I'm going to be putting into place this cap right here. Now, it is a D-shaped pattern, and it needs to go all the way down. So I'm going to drop that in a tiny bit of oil just to help get this in. And then what I'm going to do, got my hammer, I'm going to give that a bang. Not a lot, just so that that's in all the way and it's flush in there. Then I'm going to be putting the bearing on. Now the bearing just slips over the top of that. Then this is going to be going into this section just here. Now it goes in this way, so that this bearing is now sitting in there just like that. Now the other side of this will be going on top here. I'm just going to give that a dry fit, and we're going to be putting a screw in there. Don't glue any of this. But what I am going to do, leave that off just for a second, is bring over my engine. And you can see we've got a hole in here. That's how we're going to be attaching that front cover. Put the shaft through here. So that's sitting in position just like that. Put this over the top. That's perfect. And then we've got these tiny screws here. I only need one of these to screw this in. So putting that in, but I'm not going too tight, just enough to hold that into place like that. Then I want to check to make sure that that's freely able to turn, which it is. That's good. Okay, I'm then going to need some of this pipe work. So I need this one first, and I'll show you my tweezers. I've got a hole just here, which is going to be taking the center of this pipe here. It's going to go on kind of like that way there. So I'm going to hold my brushed glue up like that and brush this on like this. See, I'm not putting too much glue in it, and get that into place. Now the bottom part of this pipe, now this is where I am going to use just a cocktail stick, because I don't need a lot of glue on here. The bottom part of this pipe is going to go into the hole at the bottom of the engine there. Just like that. We've got a little nipple just here. That's going to be for this pipe just here. You do want to be forceful with that to get that over there. Just let that set into place. Perfect. And then the last pipe to go in, a bit more glue. There's actually an indent just behind this box here, right there. Just put in some glue in that. And just get that into there. And I'm just going to hold that for a second. There you go, that's in there as well. Just check. That's still spinning perfectly. Excellent. Now, again, deviating from the instructions here, for this next pipe, which goes over the screw here, I'm not going to glue that part in on top of the screw yet. I will glue the other end in, but just in case I do need to loosen that up. Now, once again, though, there is a recess at the end of the engine block, which I'm going to glue this into. That's good. As you can see, I've left that bit off just for the minute until I know that that engine's working. It's so easy to glue that in afterwards, but I'm happy with how that is. And once again, every time I do this, I just check that that's still freely able to turn. Then I just need to turn this upside down. And the last pipe I need is this one here. Now this end here, I'm just putting glue on, goes at this end. And the other side is just going next to this indent here, just up the top here. Now the other end of this pipe is just going to be resting on the engine here, but we don't glue that in place yet either. So just leave that to be free to roam, if you like. But that is all there is to do in that stage. Now we do have this part here, which is part of the adapter for the motor, so we do need to keep that safe. Okay, stage 56 then. Here's the instructions. Loads more bits of the engine. We're going to be building this section up here, which is going to go behind the engine, putting this into place. So then that's how that's looking, just like that. There's the rest of the magazine. So here is stage 56. Once again, I'll get all of these tiny, tiny, tiny pieces out. Okay, 3 pieces to start off with. I need this one and this one, which are just going to be going together. And I'm just going to do a dry fit here so we can see how this fits. That's in like that. And then we've got this larger part here, which is going to be going down the front here. So they're all going to be looking like that when they're together. Now, I haven't glued any of those, just so you know. What I am going to do is now flip that over. And on the other side here, I've got this section, which does have to go in a specific way. If I'm holding that this way, probably best on the top camera, this is going to go in that way there. Now, once again, I'm pushing these really hard, but I haven't glued anything here. They hold themselves together pretty well. The next little part I've got here, though, will be glued into place. So again, even though I'm using a brush-on glue here, I only need the smallest amount, which is why I'm applying it with a cocktail stick. Going to go into this hole just here, so it looks like that. Just holding that with my finger for a second. There you go. That's how that looks. Now we've got this connecting part to put in. One side's got some lugs going up. The other side has got 3 holes. It's this side that I'm going to be putting onto here. Now it is a tight fit, so I'm not going to need glue for this, but I do have to line it up. So I'm lining the top hole up, and hopefully everything else is going to fit into place. Perfect. And as you can see, that should keep itself in like that. Again, no glue on that. Put that to one side. And now I've got these really tiny sections. The pictures make them look massive, but they're not. I want to be gluing this tiny part here into the back of this section here. So again, it's so tiny that I can't use the brush here. So I am using my cocktail stick. And I'll get this part in. It is getting easier. Being the third engine, it's getting easier to put these things together. Now, I don't know if you can see this, but there's a little indent just there on this section. That's where this is going to go. Now, if I can make your life easier, then I will. But it's probably easier to not put this bit in yet. It's probably easier to put these bits in first, then put this over the top. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. So put that bit in there. I'm just going to leave that to dry while I just prepare the second part of this up. And it's exactly the same way. We're just putting glue into these holes, putting this tiny adapter in. And then I can use my brush because I can get to it, as you can see. And then I'm going to put this in this side. By doing that this way, I can actually ensure that these are sitting in here nice and flat. And when I'm happy with that, I can just put this back into place. Look at that. That's how that's come out. That's brilliant. Okay, the starter motor here has got a little peg. That's just going to go on this side, just into the hole here. So as you can see, that's the starter motor in. Looking good. Okay, while that's drying, I'm going to put that to one side. And as you can see here, I've got myself a file, a round file. Because what I'm going to do is on the end of this engine here, you see these holes? I'm just going to make sure that they are bored out enough so that this can fit easily in here. So I'm just rotating them around all three of these holes. Actually, there's four. There's two on the bottom as well. That will hopefully give a good union for this piece that I'm about to put in. Now, the shaft of the engine goes on top, coming out the other side. So then this can fit into those holes that I've just bored out. And they should push together just like that. Haha, excellent. This is probably a good time now just to double check that this can freely rotate in there, which it does. That's good. All that's left to do then is get this pipe. This is going to go into the points just at the top there, like that. Again, we don't need much glue at all into these. So drop that in and get all of these parts in, just like that. So in stage 57, here's the magazine. As you can see, we've got the bearers and the radiator, which we're going to create now. So that's all looking like that. And by the end, this is pretty much how that's looking. And here's the rest of the magazine. So I've got stage 57 here. Let's get all of these parts out. Trying to hold this engine's very fiddly. You don't know what you can touch and what you can't. Now, this metal bracket here is going to go into the two indents that you can see just there. So it goes in this way, and I'm going to do a dry fit quickly. It's going to go into there just like that. And I'm going to glue that into place. Now you want to be ensuring that it's up at the right angle here, because it has got a little bit of a rock on it, but I'm holding it up towards the engine. So let's let that set for a little bit, just like that. Now I should be able to lie this down now. Ah, God, it's a godsend that I haven't got to touch it. Okay, I've got a tiny connector here. Putting that in my tweezers. That's going to go on that peg that you can see just here. And it's going to need to be wiggled on. But there you go. That's into place. And then on the other side, we're going to be putting the other side on here. The peg on here is going to be going into what we've just created on this side. Once that's in, wiggle it into position. So then that's into place here. And again, make sure that this is sitting flush in there. It feels like it is. And it's uniform with the other one. And I'm just going to try and check the ends to make sure that they're square as well, which they are. Now, the engine should be able to sit upwards like that. Cool. So, I'm going to be taking the two parts of the radiator while that's drying. Just going to put some glue on these pegs. And then these can go together just here. And then I'm going to be applying some glue to this flat bladed peg here. Both sides. Turn the engine upside down. Now holding it by those metal sections, because this is going to go into the indent just next to this cable here, which is now going to be pinned into place, as you can see, like that. Going to hold that into place. Now it can stand up. Now remember that bit that was loose that we had here? That can now plug into the radiator just there like that. Probably going to put just a little bit of glue in there so that section doesn't fall out. Now if I was to turn this upside down now, I've got the radiator shutter control, which looks like this. It's going to be going on with this tab pointing towards this rear section here, and we do have indents on here just onto the top like this. So a little bit of glue on here, And there you go, that's in like that. Then that's a good testament for you that if they fit in fine there, then that means that these metal sections are square, as you can see. Perfect. Put that to one side, just let that dry, because I'm going to just create the two parts for the header tank now, which look like this. So I am going to just put a little bit of glue along the edge here. We don't need a lot at all. And piece these two parts together. So that's how that looks. And then bringing this over again, the small end is going into that pipe that we just glued into that radiator there. And then the other end is going into the peg, or the two pegs, that I've been trying to keep intact for the whole thing at the top here. So that was fun. I'm going to put a little bit of glue just on that peg at the bottom. And then some on these bits here, which I've been trying so hard to ensure that they don't break. Let's see if we can put this in. I've got the top ones in. And I am just going to reinforce these with a little bit of resin at the top. And there's the bottom one in as well. Look at that. That's probably the best engine I've done so far. So they're in the top there. And they're there looking like that. Huh. Okay. The last thing I want to do is just take this pipe work here. And the whole length of this is going to go through this bottom hole here. So one in there. It has got a D-shaped end, so when you push it into the other side, it's going to lock itself into place. So let me just put this in here. You know what? It's going to need a tiny bit of oil on it, I think, just to get it through here. There we go, just to make things a little bit easier for us. Get it in the other side, and then make sure that's engaged into the other side there. Perfect. So that's in there. And that is all there is to do in that stage. That's the engine complete. That looks brilliant, and I'm happy with how that's actually turned out this time. I wasn't as happy with the other two, I have to say, but that's perfect. So in the last stage of this pack, this is stage 58. As you can see, we're going to do the shock absorber. We're starting the undercarriage here, so we're just putting these bits together like this. And this is the rest of the magazine. Okay, so here's all the parts. If it's wrapped in this tissue paper, it means the parts are metal. So these are all metal, and I'm going to be taking this part of the shock absorber frame, and I'm going to be putting one of these clips on. So on this post here, if this is facing down, it's this post that I want first. I've got a clip here to put into place. It's just going to go over the top of this section here. And it is going to need to be pushed all the way in, just like that. I'm then going to be taking one of these retraction pistons and putting that in between this section here. And that's held in with a tiny pin that I've got in here. So the pin does have a smooth side and a rough side. So I'm just going to push that in gently to where it's got to go there. Push it in as hard as I can get it to just keep that into place. Then I've got my duckbill pliers here. And before you put the pin, make sure you definitely have put this in the right way. This should be pointing up in the direction of this here. I had mine in wrong then, if you notice, but I did correct it before I pushed this through. Perfect. So now that's in place. Do exactly the same on the other side. It can be a bit hard to get that initially in. I am finding also that if you put the pin in first, then you can add this afterwards. It does make things just a tiny bit easier there. Then use my duckbill pliers to push this in. Perfect. And that is both of those into place. Looking just like that. And that is all there is to do in that stage. That's all there is to do in that pack. Now can you see why I spent all the time wearing them? Because you need it for this. Because obviously this engine is tiny. Anyway, we've started the second undercarriage. Also, make sure you do keep this section safe, which is going to attach that engine to the motor. But I really hope you liked that video. If you did, please remember to give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed already, please remember to subscribe. Other than that, take care.